So I've already done the recording of this, but it didn't have sound. So here we go again. We'll see if we can take care of this kind of quickly. First thing I see when I go to solve is I see some parentheses that I need to distribute some things to take care of. So on the left-hand side, I'm distributing in the 5 to end up with 10x minus 5/4. So I can plug that into Desmos, or I know that 5/1 times 1/4 ends up being 5/4. And it's a minus because one was positive and one was negative. That equals, on this side, I still have 28x, but then I need to distribute in the -6. So -6 times 3x is -18x. -6 times 2 is -12. And then I'm ready to put some things together on this side. So 28x minus 18x is 10x, minus the 12 on that side. And on this side, I still have 10x and minus 5/4. Okay, so I need to eliminate the x's on one side. So if I subtract 10x on this side, because that's a positive 10x, and I subtract 10x on this side, they both disappear. They're both gone. They're both eliminated. And we're left with 5/4 equals -12. So -5/4, don't forget that negative, equals -12. Well, that's impossible. That never happens. So that is a no solution, which that means the null set. That means that can't happen. And so you might see that symbol, or you could see actually the words that there is no solution. Okay? Either way, you might see that. All right, moving on to number 2. Again, I see parentheses. So I need to distribute to get rid of those parentheses. Our biggest mistake is going to be with negatives, so we got to keep track of that. There's no negatives on the left-hand side, so I just have 4x minus 20. On the right-hand side, I still have 15x, but -3 times 2x is -6x. -3 times 4 is -12. Again, I can put these together to end up with 9x minus 12. And on this side, I still have 4x and minus 20. I need to eliminate the x's on one side. I'm choosing to eliminate the 4x because then it keeps it positive, but you could eliminate the 9x and still end up with the same answer as long as you don't lose track of your signs. I still have -20 on this side, and I have 5x here and minus 12. So again, I am trying to get x by itself, so I need to concentrate on what's with the x on this side. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And -20 plus 12, if I need to plug that into Desmos, I can. I have -8 equals 5x. And then to finish up with x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So -8/5 equals x. We could possibly see it as a mixed number of -1 and 3/5 because 5 goes into 8 one whole time, and there's 3 left over. So we could possibly see it as a mixed number, but we could also see it as a simplified improper fraction. All right, so the next one. Oh, I see some more parentheses, and I see those ugly fractions. Actually, these aren't too ugly. 1/3 of something isn't bad, okay? And 1/2 of something isn't bad. And if you need to, plug it into Desmos. That's why it's there. 7a is not something that we need to worry about, okay? So we have 7a there, and then we're going to take 1/3 times 9. So if I take 1/3 times 9, okay, 1/3 times 9, 1/3 times 9 is just going to be a plus 3a. And you could plug that into Desmos, or if you think 1/3 of something, you're really dividing it by 3. So a minus 2 here, because 1/3 times 6, you'd have 6/3, or 6 divided by 3, which is -2. Or plug it into Desmos. And then on the right-hand side, we have 1/2 of 12a to get 6a. And 1/2 of -6 to get -3. So now I can start putting things together, like these two things I can put together to be 10a minus 2 equals 6a and -3. I want to eliminate the a's on one side, so I'm going to subtract 6a from both sides. That keeps me positive. So I'd have 4a here minus 2 equals, those are gone. We're just left with -3. So now it's just a two-step problem. So I'm going to add 2 because that's what I need to eliminate to get a by itself. And I'm left with 4a equals -1. There we go. And then to finish up to get a by itself, I'm going to divide by 4. So a is going to be equal to -1/4 because 1 positive, 1 negative. And that's what we're left with. Can't simplify it. We'll leave it as a fraction. All right, here's those parentheses again. So I need to distribute. Okay, distribute on both. I've got 12x minus the 6. Okay, on this one, I'm going to distribute as well. So I have 12x plus 10. It's an inequality, so I'll keep that symbol in between. So I want to eliminate some of the x's. So I'm going to subtract 12x, subtract 12x. Those disappear. 12x minus 12x is gone. So I have -6 is less than, well, those are gone too, because 12x minus 12x, 10. That is a true statement. -6 is less than 10. So it wouldn't matter what we plug in for x, okay, what we plug in for x, it's going to be a true statement. So infinitely many, you could see it that way. You could see all real numbers. So yeah, we need to be aware that those are the same thing. That x can be all real numbers. It wouldn't matter what would work. So there's infinitely many solutions. All right, moving on to the next one. So parentheses again, I should be thinking distribute, but it looks like there's nothing to distribute here. Oh, there is. It's hiding. It's like a -1. So it's like having a -1 here that we need to distribute. And so when we plug in that -1 times anything really just changes the sign. So I'd have -5x and I'd have -10 here. On this side, same thing. I'm going to distribute the 5. I'm going to have -10 and -5x. Okay. I want to eliminate the x's on one side. So I think I'll eliminate these by adding 5x. And when I add 5x on this side, oh my goodness, they eliminate here again. And I have -10 equals -10 because those are gone. And that's true. So again, infinitely many solutions. Okay, anything we plug in is going to work. All right. Oh, I see some more parentheses. So first thing I need to get rid of is to distribute. So when I distribute here, -8 times 4 is -32. -8 times 2 is -16x. On the left-hand side, I still have 35 minus the 10x, and that's less than. Okay, so I need to eliminate the x's on one side, and I can tell right away these aren't going to disappear because I'm going to add 16x on both sides. And the reason I'm choosing to add 16x is I know that they disappear here, but this side will become a positive 6x because -10 plus 16. Don't forget your 35 up here, and since it's a positive 6x, we're going to put plus, and that's less than -32. Well, now it's just a two-step equation. So I'm going to subtract 35 to get x by itself. And I have 6x is less than -67. Now I can divide by 6. I'm not dividing by a negative. Even though there's a negative over here, I'm not dividing by a negative. So my sign does not flip. And I'm left with x is less than -67/6. Which we could see that way, or they could change it to a mixed number. 6 goes into 67 11 times, so we'd have a -11, which is 66. To get to 67, we'd have 1 left over, so -67/6 is -11 and 1 6. So we could see it either way. Okay. Oh, lots of fun fractions. You know, the only thing that really worries me that I can't forget about is this right here. This is a positive, so it doesn't change anything. So if I rewrite this, I still have 1/3 x plus 2/5 y. But this one changes because I have to distribute in that negative. So I'd have negative 4/9 x, and I'd have plus 3/10 y, because that negative changes the sign. But then the plus doesn't change anything. So I have 4/18 x and plus 3y. So now it truly is just a matter of what goes together. So I have my x's that I can put together. Okay, and I can plug that into Desmos to get that answer. And then here's my y's that I can plug into Desmos, the coefficients, to get my answer. One of the things that I notice is that 3, 9, and 18 all have a common denominator of 18. So 1/3 is going to become 6/18. And negative 4/9 is going to become negative 8/18. And then 4/18 just stays as the 18th. So Desmos, I can just plug in the third, negative 4/9 and 4/18. But I'm also seeing they have a common denominator. I'd have 10 minus 8, which is just 2/18 x. Okay, but that also simplifies down to 1/9 x. That would be our better form there. My y's, on the other hand, I really only have to add 2/5 and 3/10. Well, 2/5 is the same thing as 4/10. And then when I add 3/10 to that, I have 7/10, and then a positive, so that's 7/10. But then I just have the 3 that we're adding to that. So a 3 whole plus 7/10 is just 3 and 7/10. So plus 3 and 7/10 y. So that's one possibility. Or we could see it where this is an improper fraction. So we could see 1/9 x plus 37/10 y. Remember, to change it to an improper fraction, 10 times 3 is 30, plus the 7 to get the 37. So we could see it either way. All right. Whoops. We're good there. Okay. Same type of thing, only now we have some decimals instead. These are all positives here, so I don't need to worry about. The only one I need to worry about is this negative here that it has to distribute in. It's like having a -1 times all of that. So I still have 5.2x here plus, and since it's just positive, it really doesn't change. So I can just put plus 7 minus the 5y plus 0.7 again. But now is where I have to worry about my sign. So negative 2.1x minus the 3 plus 4.5y, because negative times that negative would give us a positive. So now what can I put together? I can put together my x's here and here. I can put together my y's, which are here and here. And finally, the constants, which are here, here, and here. So we can plug that into Desmos, the 5.2 minus 2.1 to get 3.1x. And then when I plug in the y's, negative 5 plus 4.5, I end up with negative 0.5y. And then when I add the 0.7, and then minus 3, I end up with negative 1.6. That would be the best form because we have x, y, and then constant. But if you have them in a different order, just recognize this is the same order as well. All right, moving on to number 9. So with number 9, we need to recognize that x squared is not the same as x. Okay, 5 squared is not the same as 5. Okay, so we have to recognize that. But here's something I see, negative, that I need to distribute in. So I need to be looking for those negatives all the time. So I'd have 4x squared here, but then when I distribute in the negative, I have minus the 2x, and I have plus 10, and then plus the 6x squared. It's plus 10 because the negative times that negative. It's like having a -1 here that we're distributing in. So what can I put together? Well, I can put together this and this because they match. The other ones don't match. X does not go with anything, so it's on its own, and so is the 10. So what I can do is put 4x squared and 6x squared together. We just add the coefficients like we did before to get 10x squared. And then the others are just going to be listed out. So minus 2x and plus 10 because they can't be combined with anything else. So that would be our answer. All right, we're going to solve for y. So I need to figure out what's happening to y. Well, the first thing that's happening to y, if we were going forward in our problem, is it's being multiplied by -6. And then once we get that answer, okay, they're adding the 2x. So now to solve for y, we have to do in reverse and the opposite. So the first thing that I need to get rid of is the 2x. And so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. That eliminates it here. That's what we want to happen. But I'm still left with -6y equals, I can't put those together, so I'm just going to list them out. And I'm going to put my x first. So -2x and plus 10. All right. So the second thing I need to get rid of is the -6. And it's being multiplied, so I need to divide both sides by -6, just like I would for a two-step problem. Okay, so I'm left with y equals. What we have to remember is we're dividing into both parts. So -2 divided by -6. Well, -2 divided by a -6, -2 over the -6 there, that can be simplified. Negative over negative if it's positive, and I can simplify by dividing both of them by 2, so I'd have 1/3 x. Okay, because that can be simplified down to 1/3. And then the other one is 10 over -6. We could change it to a mixed number, but really I can leave it as a fraction. I know it's going to be negative because a positive divided by a negative, but they're both divisible by 2. And so 10 divided by 2 is 5. And the 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my answer should look like this. Y equals 1/3 x minus the 5/3. Okay. All right. So this one, another literal equation that we're solving for a. So here's my a. What's happening to a? Well, I see that it's being multiplied by n. It's also being multiplied by 1/3. And then once we had that whole answer, so once we had all of that, then they're adding q. So we need to do in reverse and get rid of first the q. So I'm going to do the opposite by subtracting q on both sides. Now I can't put m and q together, so this is just m minus q. Okay, so that's just m minus q. That still equals 1/3 NA. So to get rid of the second step, I need to divide by 1/3. And I can plug that into Desmos, but what we really need to recognize is that dividing by 1/3 is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, and the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3. So if I multiply both sides by 3, because these are the same thing right here and here, those are equivalent. If I multiply here by 3 and I multiply here by 3, these 3's end up canceling out. That's what we want to happen, because you'd have 3 over 1. They cancel out. We're left with NA over on the right-hand side. And on this side, we have 3. And I'm going to go ahead and distribute that in. We don't have to necessarily, but it could be distributed in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then finally, the last step to get rid of is the multiplying by n. So I'm going to divide both sides by n to get a by itself. So when I divide by n, okay, I have this it eliminates here. And I'm left with a on this side, and we have 3m minus 3q all over n. And that answer is great. If we didn't distribute it, it would look like this. And then it would still be all over n and equal to a as well. So either way, both of those would be solving for A. All right, and finally, we have an equation that is modeled, and we're going to solve it. So a balance is like my equal sign. And on the left-hand side, I see 5 x's and plus 1 dot. And that equals on the other side 3 x's and plus the 5 dots. So that's our equation right there. So this is now just I need to solve. So I'm going to eliminate the x's on this side by subtracting 3x on both sides. 5x minus 3x is 2x plus 1, and that equals just 5 because those have been eliminated. Now we're down to just a two-step equation. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I have 2x equals 4. I can divide by 2 on both sides. And so x equals 2. And that would be my answer. Okay, so hopefully this has helped you to better understand the test review for the test coming up tomorrow. Good luck.